Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update. Join the only official Telegram channel of Rao's IAS Study Circle to get relevant material and important updates. Hello everyone and welcome to Daily News Simplified, your one-stop solution to detailed analysis of current affairs which are published in the Delhi edition of the Hindu newspaper. Articles dated 27th of June 2021 are listed on your screen, and the timestamping for these articles is provided in the description box. So let us begin with the first article itself. So the first article is from your page 1 of the Hindu newspaper, and this article actually talks about recent move which was taken up by Indian Army in order to raise its tempo or its focus in the operations along the line of actual control. Well, line of actual control is nothing but a border between India and China, and you should never confuse it with LOC, which is between India and Pakistan. When it comes to the context of the article, it directly says that efforts on to replace the aging fleet of Cheetah and Chetak helicopters while gearing up for the induction of modern choppers. It simply means that Indian Army, which also has a separate aviation branch, well, we are not talking about Indian Air Force as such, but Indian Army, which has a separate Air Force branch, is looking for upgradation. What kind of upgradation they are looking for? To induct modern helicopters or choppers. In this context, these are the new plans which are lying ahead for the Indian Army as far as border security or surveillance is concerned. Well, these are the new plans. You can use these pointers as your mains answer pointers, or you can also use these points to highlight or substantiate your argument in the mains GS paper 3. But before going into the plan itself, let us see how far UPSC is asking questions from the security matters. So when it comes to the prelim examination, UPSC is focusing more on defense deals and defense equipment. So in 2018, they have already asked a question on THAAD, which is Terminal High Altitude Area Defense. Hence, the list which I have provided to you here. You can also go through these different equipments which is being imported by India or they are being used by the Indian Defense Forces. The answer to this question is nothing but an American anti-missile system. When it comes to the mains examination, of course, your GS paper 3 include national security and border management is part of that. So in 2016, UPSC asked the question on border management itself, and as we know, LOC and LAC are part of border management, hence this topic becomes important from your mains perspective as well. Today we will look at the major issues which India is facing on the border management, and this entire article will be taken from the perspective of mains examination. So when it comes to the new plan, what we are planning is to provide night navigation goggles, induction of a fresh lot of ammunitions for the fleet of Rudra helicopters. We are also planning to weaponize the variants of advanced light helicopters. We have surveillance downlink systems. We have anti-aircraft missiles. We are also looking for countermeasures against the missile system, which is also known as air defense systems. We are looking for new surveillance spots. We have already inducted many AH-64 Apache from the USA. So you should remember the name of the equipment as well as the nation from where we are importing those equipments. We have also inducted light combat helicopter. You should not confuse this with your LCA or light combat aircraft, which is Tejas. Tejas is as of now part of the Indian Air Force, and its another variant is being used by the Indian Navy. But here we are talking not about an aircraft, but we are talking about a helicopter. Well, we will look all these in a short while. We are also looking to induct or use the Heron Multi-Attitude Long Endurance, also known as MALE UAV, which we have imported from the nation Israel. And lastly, from Russia, we are utilizing the Ka-2260 utility helicopters. So these are the three nations, these are the three equipments which you should remember from the perspective of your prelim examinations. Now let us move to what these are or how they look like. Well, these first two are the existing fleet with the Indian Army. The first one is your, of course, Cheetah helicopter, and the second one is your Chetak helicopter. As they are smaller in size and they have limited capabilities, and of course, most of them are older than 3 decades. So given this condition, Indian Army is planning to upgrade to the new helicopters or choppers. Well, you can use this point as your main pointer that most of the Indian fleet or helicopter fleet is older than 3 decades. So now what we are planning to do? From Chetak or Cheetah, we are moving towards the other helicopters. So this is your Rudra, it is produced by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. It is already in service. The second one is your Apache, which I've already discussed. Is we are importing it from the United States of America. This is your MALE UAV, which we are importing from Israel. And the last one is your light combat helicopter, which I was discussing. This is under the trial right now, but most of them have been inducted, but the final operation or their deployment into the war zone or deployment on the borders has not been conducted by now. With this, I will take you to the importance of what these article is, why we are looking for border security. Well, it is a comprehensive map. I believe most of you have already studied on majority of these topics in your different general studies aspect. So let us see them one by one. Okay, so from this point in the photograph, which is part of your Jammu division, to this point, what we have is line of control. After this, the area which you are looking at in gray color or this shaded area is your Siachen Glacier. Alright, so Siachen Glacier lies between China, Pakistan and India. And as of now, majority of the Siachen Glacier is under India's control. However, it is being claimed by Pakistan. India has already conducted the Operation Meghdoot in this area. Given the situation, there is no border or no delineated area between LOC or the Chinese LAC. The area which starts from here, which is the eastern side of Siachen Glacier, and up to this area, which is part of your Ladakh division in the southern part, is your LAC or line of actual control. The eastern part of this is your Aksai Chin, which is controlled by China since 1962 war with India. However, it is claimed by India on multiple grounds. After this, the area which is left over is your existing part of India's Kashmir and Jammu division, including your current Ladakh. After August 2019 approval by the Indian Parliament, now we have two union territories which include Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. However, the existing part of Gilgit-Baltistan, which is under the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, is part of your Ladakh division and not part of your Jammu and Kashmir. So you should remember all these points. Now, when it comes to the security issue, the LOC issue is part of your terrorism issue. On the other hand, when it comes to the LAC, we do not have any terrorism coming from Chinese side. What we have is PLA. PLA, which is the army or the defense force of China. On the other side, from here, from Pakistan, we have state-sponsored terrorism. So both these borders have different issues. We do not face any issue as far as Siachen Glacier is concerned. We do not have any terrorist infiltration over there. However, both the nation, that is India and Pakistan, have deployed their respective forces in this area to make their respective claims. Apart from this, there is Galwan Valley, which was in news last year for unfortunate mishap which took place between the two forces of India and China. And of course, the another place which is always in the news is your Pangyong Lake, which is shared by India and China. So with this given map, what we come across is that the border situation in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh is still unresolved. And because of that, the highest deployment of the forces and the top priority of border management is taken up in these two areas. And with this, now we go to what are the existing issues and what measures should we take up in order to bring more and more better management of the India's border. Well, these are the basic pointers. You can use these pointers in your mains examination. As I've discussed, I will be taking this issue from the mains perspective. Well, the list I have provided is non-exhaustive, so you can include n number of points as you think like. But I have categorized these points into the 5 broad categories. These are the issues which are pertaining to the border management in India. The first one is your geographical issues. Of course, we have uneven terrain. You have seen the case of Jammu and Kashmir. We have climate severity where there are floods, where there are avalanches and others. We have water flow issues and the changing borders. This is often seen in the case of Bangladesh and Nepal. We have political issues like unresolved borders, as we have seen the case of Jammu and Kashmir. We have long drawn disengagements where nations do not come to table to talk, as we are currently seen in the case of India and Pakistan. Then comes the change in the political ideology. So whenever there is change in the party, take the case of Myanmar, where there was a military coup recently and the democracy was demolished. Hence, the border issues now increases. There is infiltration which is coming from the Myanmar. Hence, the change in the political ideology also defines the issues of border management. And similarly, we have change of power in the neighboring nation. When it comes to the economic issues, we have stagnation of the trade. Take the case of India and Pakistan. Transfer of counterfeit currencies. Take the case of India and Nepal. And of course, your Hawala transaction where Nepal, Pakistan and Bangladesh are very notorious. When it comes to the security issues, there are drug, arms, animal and human trafficking. We also have cross-border terrorism. The best example is the terrorism in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. And lastly, I have put up the international issues which include your border dispute. We have seen the case of LOC, LAC, and of course the McMahon Line. Unwanted interference of the other nation, take the case of United States or maybe the Arab nations in the case of Kashmir. And lastly, the non-demarcation of the borders, which we know the case of Jammu and Kashmir. So you can utilize all these points for your mains answer writing. You can take a screenshot right now to list down all these points. And whenever you write these points, always try to mention one or the other example. Like I have given here the example of USA and the Arab nation. Because once you put an example in your mains answer writing, or when you put an example in your argument in the mains answer writing, you will get more substantial understanding, and your substantial understanding will transform into the understanding of the examiner himself, and he will definitely devote more marks to your copy. After going through all the issues, what measures we can take? Well, I will repeat this again that okay, these measures are non-exhaustive. You can include n number of other measures which you have studied. But these are the basic one. The first one is the use of technology. Of course, we need a good technology like drones, satellites, communication system, electronic surveillance, electric fencing and whatnot. We need regular border engagement with the neighboring countries. We have to upgrade the powers of the security forces, including your SSB, ITBP, and of course your Assam Rifles. We have to build a good infrastructure along the borders. We have seen a very good example in case of India and Bangladesh, where the border demarcation is extremely good. We also need confidence building measures among the people across the border. This will boost your trade, this will boost your business, and this will reduce your unwanted or illegal infiltration. We need free and open trade in order to boost the economic development and of course the cooperation between the SAARC nation. We also require resolving border issues bilaterally without the external interferences, and lastly, following the international conventions and the agreement. And the best example here is nothing but the Indus Water Treaty, where India and Pakistan have been very disciplined in following this agreement, which was brokered by the international agencies. So if we are following these international convention and the agreement, half of the issue will resolve itself. So these could be the best measures possible which you can include the mains answer writing. So now with all these pros, cons, measures and issues, now let us move to a sample question. Well, this is a sample question which I have included for you. So read the question carefully and write the answer in about 250 words. Well, you can write it in 230 to 240 words as well. There is no issue in that. But let me clear it out what you need to write in that. If you are just starting the answer writing, let me help you. The question says, enumerate various reasons for poor border management in India. Of course, the context is in India. UPSC will not ask any question related to any other country, including Pakistan, US, Europe or any other. Also, provide measures to boost surveillance on Indian borders. Alright. Now, the first instance or the first look or the bird eye view tells us that there are two parts in this question and we have one tag word. Now, let us see what they are. The first part wants you to write the various reasons for the poor management. So this is your first part. The second part is provide measures. So this is your second part, and the tag word is enumerate. So you have to make a list. You have to list down all those reasons as well as measures. So you will write the question in this manner. Write with the introduction. In introduction, you can write the background why we have poor border management. Okay, so because of the various reason, you can start with any enumeration, you can start with any example, you can write the example of J&K or any other. All right, in the body part, distribute your body into two. In first, write down the various reasons. Okay, so if this is 250 markers, so I would suggest you to write at least 7 to 8 reasons. Then after that, you have to write measures. In measures also, try to write at least 7 to 8 points, and in last conclude with a balanced view that despite all the features, India has been putting a good effort in order to bring the best results possible. And in the meanwhile, or in the near future, given the capacities we are increasing at, we'll be able to stand in a better position than what we are today. So your conclusion should be balanced, positive, and futuristic. With this, now we will move to the next article for the day. This article was published on the page 8 of the Delhi edition of the Hindu newspaper, and this talks about the recent opposition which was registered by different wildlife experts to the government of Uttarakhand regarding their decision to open Corbett and Rajaji National Park round the year. The context says that wildlife experts in Uttarakhand have strongly opposed the state government decision to open the Corbett and the Rajaji tiger reserves, which also include their national parks, for the visitor all around the year, saying that it would amount to the cruelty of the animal. Now, why they are saying it is a cruelty of the animal? Because between the month of July to November, there is a season of mating. So these animals come together to mate, they reproduce, and they increase their population. Once people start coming to these national park or the tiger reserves, animal would not be able to live their natural habitation, and this will reduce their cyclical growth as well as their reproductive activity, which will reduce their population as such. And because of this, the wildlife experts have been protesting against this decision. Now, this is one of the example of man-animal conflict. Because of the tourism interest of the government, the decision can go and hamper the wildlife or the fauna which is situated in the state of Uttarakhand. And this can be used for your mains examination. You can quote this example over there as well. However, we will look this article from the perspective of the prelims examination with special focus on the two national parks and the tiger reserves which were mentioned in the article. The first one is your Jim Corbett National Park. Well, this is also part of your Corbett Tiger Reserve. It is located in the Nainital district of Uttarakhand. It encompasses your Patli Doon Valley. Well, Doon you already know are part of your Shivalik and the other ranges, and it is formed by Ram Ganga River. So these are the 3 pointers. Patli Doon lies in the Uttarakhand. Ram Ganga River also lies in the Uttarakhand. So these are your prelim pointers. This national park was established in 1936, that is during the British rule, as Heli National Park to protect the endangered Bengal tiger. Now you can imagine how far Bengal tiger is situated. So this species is living in the Bengal, in the Sundarban, but it is also found in the states like Uttarakhand, Madhya Pradesh, and even the Deccan states. Well, this national park was named after Jim Corbett, who played a key role as the establishment and as the conservator for the wildlife. The other important pointer include that this is the oldest national park. Now, this is your fourth prelim pointer. This is the first area to come under the Project Tiger initiative of 1973. Now, these all important pointers are for your prelims examination, so read them carefully. If possible, take the screenshot. Next is the Rajaji National Park. This is located in your Haridwar district of Uttarakhand at the foothills of Shivalik Range. This national park was formed after combining 3 sanctuaries which included Rajaji, Motichur and Chila. And this name was given after the famous freedom fighter C. Raj Gopalacharya, who is also known by the name Rajaji. The feature of this national park include the northwestern limit of the habitat of the Asian elephant. So Asian elephant does not go beyond this limit. So you will never find Asian elephants living in the natural habitat in the state of Himachal Pradesh or in Jammu and Kashmir. And this is also one of the reasons that except the Tarai region, Nepal does not have, or Sikkim or Bhutan does not have elephant population. Elephant do not prefer to live in the high altitude areas with cold climate. However, exemptions are always there. These areas also include your sal forest, riverine forest, and broadleaf mixed forest. So these pointers could be used by UPSC to frame a question, and then they can ask you identify the national park. They also have your scrubland and grassy land. It was declared a tiger reserve in 2015 and it is also a home to one Gujars. So they can also ask the question like where one Gujar tribal or the forest dwelling nomadic community resides. So the answer would be your Uttarakhand near Rajaji National Park. Apart from these two national parks, let us have a small glimpse or a revision to the important national parks or the protected area of Uttarakhand. Well, I have used this map which is provided by the Wildlife Institute of India. They have provided the map for different states as well. So if you belong to a particular state, you can go through the website and download the map of your specific state. This is useful for your mails as well as for your interview purpose. Well, I believe the font is quite small to look into a mobile phone, so I will write them by myself. Well, before that, let us look at the macro points of the map. So this is your China, this is your Nepal, this is your Uttar Pradesh, and here you have Himachal Pradesh. Alright, so this is your Uttarakhand or the state of the Uttarakhand. The first one is your Corbett National Park, which is this one. So this is your Corbett National Park, which we have already discussed. The second one is your Gangotri National Park. It is closer to your Chinese border. Why Gangotri? Because it is the origin or the origin place of River Ganga. The third important would be the Rajaji National Park, which we have taken up for the discussion, and this is your Rajaji National Park. This small green dot is your Valley of Flower National Park. This another dot in the middle of the state is your Nanda Devi National Park. Apart from these 5 broad national parks, we also have some important parks which I will not show in the map. However, the names are important. Well, these include your Govind National Park, Binsar Wildlife Sanctuary, Govind Pashu Vihar Wildlife Sanctuary, Kedar Nath Wildlife Sanctuary, Masuri Wildlife Sanctuary, and of course your Rawalgarh Conservation Reserve. So these are the important words and these are the important places which are the important wildlife protected areas in the state of Uttarakhand. With this, now I will take you to the important question attached to this article. Well, these kind of questions have been used by the UPSC in the prelims examination. So read the question carefully and answer in the comment box. With this, now we move to the next article for the day. So the next article in the discussion lineup is related to an important international affair as far as ecology and environment is concerned. The article titled A Fabled Wonder in Danger. The wonder which this article talks about is nothing but a Great Barrier Reef which is situated on the coast of Australia. This article was published on page 12 of the Delhi edition Hindu newspaper, and the context of the article says that according to 2019 Outlook report, the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority says that the long-term state of the reef, which is the Great Barrier Reef, has further deteriorated from poor to very poor due to massive bleaching. So, there are 2 things which we will discuss about this article. First, of course, the coral reefs with special emphasis on the Great Barrier Reef and what is coral bleaching. So, as per the report, in 2020, these were the areas which were under massive bleaching. And massive bleaching area include those of the red dots. So this area is mostly the bleached area on the coast of Australia. Well, this is the northeastern coast of Australia, which is opening on the Pacific Ocean. When it comes to the corals, it is a very important topic for UPSC, both for the prelims as well as for the mains examination. As you can see, they have asked questions repeatedly on the corals. In 2014, they asked about the locations of the coral in India. And in 2018, they have asked the general points on the coral and their global distribution. When it comes to the geographical conditions which are required for the coral growth, these are as follows. They grow best in the brightly lighted water, so deep corals are very rare. So they are grown mostly in the depth of 5 to 10 meters, and the suspended particles interferes with feeding. So those small dust particles, if they are very large in numbers, they will reduce the growth of the corals. The coral reef can grow up to the depth of 90 meters, not beyond than that. However, the sun rays may go even beyond that. But the growth rate declines rapidly after 5 to 10 meters, because high growth rate is possible when the bright sunlight insolation is available and the water is clean. So the reef building corals are found within 21st degree of isotherm. So isotherm, you all know, is a dedicated line which passes through those points on the globe which have similar temperature conditions. So let's say some place here in Siberia has, let's say, minus 20. This place in Bering Strait has minus 20. And here in, let's say, Canada has minus 20. So isotherm will pass from these places in this manner. So corals will grow in those areas which have isotherm of 21 degrees Celsius. And temperature below 18 degrees causes their death. Next being that coral form in calm and well lit water, so they are not near the mouth of the rivers, because mouth of the rivers have high volume of water, that too with high sedimentation and high speed. Individual coral organisms are however found in some cold high latitude waters, but they do not form reefs, or they do not form large area of colonies. As you can see in this map, most of the coral reefs are situated in the areas which are plus minus 25 degrees of your equator. So they are mostly tropical in sense. When it comes to the Great Barrier Reef, it is a complex of coral reefs. I've already discussed they are found in the Australia in the form of colonies. So they are complex coral reefs, shoals and islands in the Pacific Ocean of the northeastern coast of Australia. As you can see over here, the orange color shows the Great Barrier Reef, which is in the northeast direction of Australia. This small island is your Tasmania, which is also part of Australia. Over here you have New Zealand, and in the northern side you have Southeast Asian countries like Indonesia. The Great Barrier Reef extends in roughly northwest to southeast direction and covers an area of about 135,000 square miles. With that size, it is sometimes characterized as the largest structure ever built by a living creatures, and those are not the humans. Apart from this, the conditions which are required for the coral formation in Great Barrier Reefs are as follows. The water environment of the Great Barrier Reef is formed by the surface layer of the southwestern Pacific Ocean. So the cold water or the cold streams are rare in these areas. Apart from this, El Nino and Southern Oscillation, or in fact La Nina, also plays their respective role in regulating the temperature of this area. The reef water shows little seasonal variation. So the temperature of the water is very moderate. And the last being that water are generally crystal clear, which is required for good growth, with submarine features clearly visible up to 30 meters. So the requirement was 10 meters and you have a good visibility up to 30 meters. So it is a best place for a coral growth. When it comes to the distribution or the types, coral reefs are classified into three main types. First is your fringing reefs, which grow close to the shore of a landmass, extending out like a submerged platform. So if this is your coast and this is your water, so fringing reef, they will grow closer to the coast out like a submerged platform. So it is like a submerged platform in the water. The second being your barrier reef, which also follows a coastline but are separated by it via wide expanse of water. So if you separate the coast and the reef, you will get barrier reef. So it acts like a barrier. And the last one being the atoll, which are ring-shaped reefs surrounding lagoons. Now the issue comes that how these corals who have been formed at a particular location under a particular condition are getting bleached. So how coral become bleached? So the first condition, well, this is a healthy coral. Alright, so healthy coral, they are coated with an algae-like substance known as zooxanthellae. and coral depend on this to survive. So for the survival of corals, we require zoanthelines. So what happens? Once this bleaching starts, a coral becomes stressed. So when coral becomes to stress from changes in its environment, the zooanthelin can become toxic and leave the coral. So when the temperature start rising, when there is lots and lots of mud, or when there is influx of polluted water and other reasons which we will discuss very shortly, corals become stressed, and this symbiotic relationship is disturbed. After this, the coral start bleaching, and once the zoanthelines have left the coral turns white, leaving vulnerable to starvation, disease, and even death. So now you can see from orange color to the light yellow color, now they are turned into white one. And once they are under the severe stress, they ultimately die in the colors which is given in this photograph. Now these are the basic causes of coral bleaching. The first one is increase of the sea water temperature. So you can take any example. Let's say there is El Nino, there is climate change. All they can create coral bleaching. Then we have changes in the seawater chemistry due to ocean acidification that can damage or that can increase the stress on the corals. Next being the chemicals in the sunscreen, which was recently banned in many of the island nations in the Pacific, and other personal care products which have high degree of chemicals and they causes acidification and lead to bleaching. Next being the increment of the level of sediments in the water or the coral exposure to the sodium cyanide, a chemical which is used to capture of coral reef fishes. So the fishing activity is also hampering the development of the coral in these areas. Next being, of course, your mining and the burning of the coal pollutes the atmosphere, causes the global warming. So global warming along with the seawater temperature is the most core issue of coral bleaching. The next being your deep water trawling, and they involve dragging of the fishing nets which actually uproots the corals. And the last one being your billions of bits of plastic waste are entangled in the coral, and this retards the development or the growth of corals along with their symbiotic relationship. Now, as I was talking about an important question, these are the areas of the corals developed in India. Well, they are developed in Gulf of Kutch. They are in the coast of Maharashtra and Goa. They are definitely found in the Lakshadweep, where most of the islands are coral islands. They are also found in Gulf of Mannar and Pak Bay, and ultimately they are found in Andaman and Nicobar. When it comes to the eastern coast, the growth of coral is very, very retarded. We do not have that. The first and the foremost or the topmost reason being there is large number of rivers with high inflow of sedimentation, which actually reduces the growth of corals. So no clear water, no good growth of the corals. So instead of corals, the eastern side have large number of mangroves. And now we come the final point where we will talk about the efforts which have been taken in globally and at the India level. So at global stage, we have Global Coral Reef Monitoring Network and International Coral Reef Initiative. Apart from this, we have National Oceanic and Atmosphere Administration, and all of them are working to prevent the damage of healthy reefs and restore the damaged ones. When it comes to India, well, we have coastal regulation zones which were amended recently. We have Wildlife Protection Act as well. Apart from that, we have created many marine protected areas. We have also created many biosphere reserve, and the most important one being Gulf of Mannar, where we are also focusing on the protection of reef. And recently there was a case of biorocks where artificial growing of corals were undertaken. So with this, now I'll take you to the important question which is attached to this article. Now we come to the last article for today's discussion. This article was published on page 10 of the Delhi edition Hindu newspaper and deals with the important topic of multi-drug resistance. Indian scientists have come across an important conclusion or a solution which they claim could provide us the information that how bacteria develop a resistance. We all know the case of tuberculosis, which has developed into a different resistance forms like MDR, TDR, and XDR. So, how does a bacteria develop that kind of resistance? When it comes to the context, it is not clear why some bacteria evolved multi-drug resistance while others do not. There are many types of bacteria which are found across the globe. However, there are very few of them who could develop the multi-drug resistance. Well, a new research from Population Biology Lab from IISER Pune could now hold a key to this question. Now, why this article is important? When it comes to General Studies Paper 3 in the mains examination, there's a special category where they will ask questions from the development in the space, science and technology and related concept from the Indians. Now, this research was conducted by the Indians in India itself, hence it becomes important. Multi-drug resistance implies that a bacteria is adapting or it's adaptable at handling multiple antibiotics simultaneously. So antibiotics are nothing but the medicines which we take in order to reduce the harmful effect of bacteria. So if let's say there is bacteria A and it is treated by a, let's say, drug X. However, after some time bacteria A becomes more resilient or more resistance toward X, then what we say, the bacteria A is resistant to chemical or drug X. After a while it becomes resistant to the another effective drug, let's say Y. Now it is more than one, hence bacteria A will become multi-drug resistant, and this is the concept which we are focusing in this article. Now the question is how this resistance is acquired by a bacteria. Well, the research is focusing on survival of the fittest theory. Now understand this through a simple flow diagram. When the resistance increases, this would increase the fitness appreciably. The fitness of whom? The fitness of bacteria. But does it mean that all bacteria can be multi-drug resistance? Well, the answer is no. The reason given why that does not happen is the fitness cost. So, because of this fitness cost, all bacteria does not generate that multi-drug resistance. Now, how this happens? This happens when a bacteria becomes fit in one environment. They either lose fitness or fail to increase the fitness in the other environment. So, if bacteria A is, let's say, getting fitness or is very suitable for humid climate or maybe warm climate, that bacteria is very unlikely to suit cold climates. And because of this, a small population of bacteria acquire a certain set of mutation which allow them to survive in one environment while paying a cost in the other. So bacteria A will thrive in humid and warm climate, and the same bacteria, if arise in the cold climate, they will not survive. And this is the reason the same bacteria can develop a resistance in one area but not in the other one. And this is possibly the reason which shows through the genome sequencing that larger the population contained greater number of mutation. And this is the reason why tuberculosis, where the number of patients are in millions, have developed the drug resistance at multiple levels. So because of this research, now we come to a conclusion that bacteria also works like humans, and their fitness actually determines whether they will become resistant to a particular drug or not. With this, now I'll take you to the important question attached to this article. Read this question carefully and answer in the comment box. And I repeat, all these questions are also available on eLearn platform with their answer keys. And now we come to the conclusion of today's discussion and we go to the question of the day.